mech warriors, mech commanders, and that other weird part of YouTube. It is I, Project Dark Fox with Mohawk. I'm also with Lavender Industries for another mini painting video. Today's mech is the underrated, though ugly, FLS-7K Flashman. Another Star League classic. Today we are painting it in the colors of the Lyran Guard. I want to show you this beautiful collection of miniatures that I do have. Now, I'm not going to try to rub it in anybody's faces that, you know, this is a pretty vast collection. What I do want to point out is, they're all the same color. Miniatures are getting expensive. We're going to start repainting these eventually. Many of these units you could probably paint a second time before you have to even strip them. These four here I'm probably going to have in another video.
Sweet.
Anyway, that Flashman. It is not going to be painted in these colors, as I mentioned before. It will be in the Lyran Guard. Now, let's get painted, shall we? Guess what? I primed the mech. But there's a little bit of a problem. I may have grabbed the wrong primer. This is a Rust-Oleum that I got a few years ago. It was designed for wood and metal surfaces. I thought this might have worked, even though the primer was meant for another task at the time. But it is a little thick in places. I did miss a couple of spots, so while I'm not going to call this a wash right now, we are still going to push on. I may have lost some details, but it won't be too bad. Now, the Lyran Guard uses a majority of blue, but a large section of the mech is also going to be white. So, we're going to start with a true blue. I have it from Americana. You can get it from Hobby Lobby for less than $1. And I'm also going to start with, as part of the base coat, a mix of misty white and slate gray, apple barrel and Americana. These are just cheap paints, guys, but they do the job. And we're going to mix and mix and mix. I know they do use white as the color, main color, one of their colors. I am sorry, tongue twisted today. But the base color needs to be just a little bit darker, so that when we start dry brushing, we can actually use a pure white. So I'm just trying to get this gray as light as I can without being white. But with that, I'm going to start painting most of the mech blue. Just blue. Not a fancy shade, just blue. I'm going to get it all over the miniature, except for generally the left arm, the left leg, and some of the left torso. Their paint scheme's kind of strange like that, but it is still pretty easy because I don't have to worry about any striping or the like. Once I am done dry brushing and stuff, all I really got to worry about is the details like the canopy and all that. I hope you like my apartment. This is the first time we have actually filmed our painting video inside my apartment. We had previously been doing it in Sakura's house.
Hoi!
Hoi, Timmy.
Hoi! Hi, I'm Bob.
Hi, Bob. But yeah, changing up the paint schemes of all of these my miniatures here, it's going to make the games more interesting to look at too, because I actually play with these miniatures. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, you should at some point see the Centurion CN9AL that he painted for me.
Oh, it looks nice. Kind of wish I could get a custom arm on it though, because the CN9AL is supposed to have a large laser instead of an autocannon.
And then of course there's the Grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
And
just a standard Grasshopper.
And then there's that Atlas that you painted to look like Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, it's sweet looking. Well, good news is the Rust-Oleum is actually taking the paint very well.
Indeed.
Like really well. I'm just really worried about that loss of detail. So the Flashman. There are two very distinct variants from before the clan invasion. One of them is, of course, the Star League era, which comes with a 375 XL rated engine, which, given this is a 75-ton heavy mech, gives it a good running speed of 81 kph. So this is pretty fast. And it also comes with a plethora of double heat sinks, 3 large lasers, about 5 medium lasers, and a flamer in the head. That's a lot of weapons.
Well, if he's got a flamer in the head, at least he doesn't have to worry about having bats in his belfry.
Also, people tend to fear fire-breathing mechs. It's a psychology thing. The other version, which was prominent during the Succession Wars because of the loss of technology, the Flashman was still actually pretty popular and being built around, I want to say, Hesperus 2, which is in Steiner territory. Hence the reason why I'm painting this in Lyran Guard colors. But even the Succession Wars version still had 2 large lasers, a 300 standard rated engine, which made it more durable, and the same amount of medium lasers. Now, it did miss out on the double heat sinks, but it still has enough singles to keep going. Uh-oh. A little bit of bleed through there with the blue. We're alright, we're alright.
It's all good, it's all good.
Yeah, I might have to do some minor detailing work right off the bat here. I probably should have let the other side dry first. But the Flashman was actually really popular, even whether it was during its heyday, during the Star League, or even in the Succession Wars, because even with the downgraded technology, it was still a force to be reckoned with, despite the slower speed. Being the same tonnage as a Marauder, and being a bit more heavily armored than it, it was just a shame that they were much rarer, because only one factory was building them. And even then, that factory was destroyed during the Second Succession War, if I remember right. Thank you, Sarna. But you can also, I believe, find most of that information in Technical Readout 3039. So, Sakura, what do you think of what you are seeing here?
Absolutely fantastic.
I know it's a little different from what you're used to seeing, that's for sure.
I like different. You've seen my hair colors.
That's the base coat. And we're going to wait for that to dry a bit before we get started on the wash. It might be a little bit of a pain in the butt, considering that we have multiple colors on the base coat, but we'll get to it.
Worth it.
Now that our base coat has dried, and I actually dumped a bit too much paint, so I have also been doing a little something else. This is one of the original Atlas molds, but we only have so much film. Yep, that's a Javelin too. It's also received some of the Rust-Oleum. We'll work around it later. That one will actually be painted in Davian colors at another time. But for now, let's focus on the Flashman. We're going to do a wash, and with the two base colors here, it is going to be a little interesting. I have already mixed the colors. They're going to be darker shades of what we used. There's a little bit too much black in this blue, but it'll be alright. And then, just like the previous miniatures before, we slather it all over the miniature. But in this case, we got to be careful with it. I'm sure you remember the Supernova, where I had to wash some of the heat sinks. Try not to let it get into the other color. But it will still gather into the cracks and give your miniature a kind of weathered look, which is exactly what you want. This Flashman might be new out of the factory, or it might be a couple 100 years old. Doesn't matter. A few months on the battlefield, it'll look like that. It'll look ancient.
Oh, you mean kind of like my nails after a couple shifts at work?
Yes. Exactly. Wash doesn't take too long, but we do have to be careful not to get it into the other color, or it's just kind of gonna blend like it right over here, like it is right over here right now. I'm gonna take my paintbrush, dry it as much as I can, and gather it up, because we don't want it that far in that crack, because that is where the light gray is gonna be. Well, now a darker gray. Clean it, dry it, gather up more paint. The dry brush will cover up most of that. It won't be a big deal after it too. And now for the gray wash, I'm going to put it on the right side of the miniature. It's not terribly dark, because this is such a light color to begin with. And when we dry brush, it's going to be white, 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 white.
White like rice in a glass of milk on a paper plate in a snowstorm.
Yes, yes. Oh no, too much white is gathering into the crack in the back again.
The crack in the back?
Hey, Bailiff. You said crack.
Not sorry.
In the back. And I will be doing this with the Atlas off camera. Next video is we're probably going to do the Javelin, and then after that we're probably going to start doing lances at a time. Oh boy. It's getting real bad back here.
It's okay, you can fix it.
I can fix it! And most of it will go away with the dry brushing, too.
Kind of funny how you're acting like Fix-It Felix, and I'm the one who always wrecks you as Wreck-It Ralph and Racing Transformed.
I know. Imagine how that works, right? Still a little bit here that needs a little bit wash. Just a little bit. Must be super careful because, yeah, I got more gray paint gathering. You know where.
Then the crack.
After we laid down our washes and had a trip to the store and all of that, and even painted up the Steiner Scout mech, our Flashman is finally dry. The next step is, of course, dry brushing. You know, one that's kind of annoying. Probably going to start with the white this time and just paint. Well, not just paint. Dry brush dusting. Yes, we're dusting the miniature. And there's still a little bit of the seepage from having two different base coats here and trying to wash both of them at the same time, but it came out okay in the long run.
Told you it would.
Because I doctored it so much. And now we're just making it brighter, raising up all the armor panels, making it look nice and sexy. Even sexier than it was.
Dun, 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 dun,
oh god, nobody's gonna get that reference. So we watch Lucha Libre. Not the Lucha Underground that I heard about recently, but no, we watch an old league called the CMLL. I think it's like World Championship of Lucha Libre. Translated. And she was starting to do the introduction for one luchador who happens to be a world champion. Well, not a world champion yet, but a heavyweight champion. Maximo Sexy, who also happens to be the League Exotico.
Who you happen to go for is Halloween.
Yes, I did. I even have pictures on my Twitter. Which is actually why I have the mohawk.
And you are rocking that mohawk.
Thank you. I don't agree, but I guess it will grow on me. Notice how white this is coming out now. At least this side of the mech. Some of the white is kind of spreading off to the other side. We'll be alright. It'll get covered up by the blue. We're going to use baby blue for the other side.
Look at how that dry brush makes that makes those details pop.
Oh yes, you're learning.
Well, I mean, we're both artists in our own respect. I decorate cakes, you decorate mechs.
Yes. And we both draw.
Only difference is I get to eat my decorations.
Yeah, shut up. Oh my. This isn't coming out how I wanted it to. The blue is too bright.
Is there any way that you could subdue it a little by dry brushing a slightly darker blue over top of it?
I could probably do that.
You're right, I am learning.
I didn't think the baby blue was that white. Or light, rather, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's much better.
Perfect. Sometimes it's a little bit of trial and error with this sort of stuff.
It is, because I don't often paint with some of these other colors, so I'm kind of learning my colors a bit here. So this isn't going to look the greatest. But at least I am trying. Some of my dry brushing actually got through the primer and scraped it up. I think that was actually the brush doing that. So I am going over it very carefully with the base coat.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. You can't know exactly how a brush is going to react until you use it on the exact thing that you're using it for. You could test it all you want on other materials, but until you actually use it painting a mech, you do not know how it's going to react.
Yep.
So
or any other primer product. Not primer, pewter product.
Alright, so that's one of those things that you can't just say pick your brush properly. It's like you don't really know how the brush is going to react.
Pretty much. So, clearly, I am still learning here, even though this was supposed to be an instructional video. So, learn from my mistakes.
And learn how to fix it the way that he's doing it. He can fix it.
I'm going over some of the areas here where the dry brushing has gone over the other side, because dry brushing is pretty imprecise. And I'd say that's about done. Obviously, we still have some more details to do, so we will get right to that.
Well, that is probably as good as it's going to get.
Try to have your color shades as close together as possible. Well, reasonably so. Or else you're kind of just going to have too much contrast, and it's not going to look all that great. Next, I am going to work on the cockpit canopy. We have three windows to worry about here. I cannot stay in the lines.
That's okay. Bob Ross didn't worry about staying in the lines.
No.
And what was it that one viewer referred to you as?
The Bob Ross of death.
Yes.
Happy little flamers.
I'm over here giggling and trying to hold the camera still. It's not easy. Get hold of the bumper and tripod. Here we go.
Alright, it is time to start putting in the jeweling. Oh, I have this too that I'm working on, as you already know. So we may as well just knock them out while we have the opportunity.
Yeah. Twofer.
Yeah, it's a small task.
Bonus content. Bonus, bonus, bonus.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to jewel the Atlas's eyes. It's going to be asking a lot out of me. Yeah, gonna need a little white. I still like to use the red canopies until I start painting a red mech. So gather up a bunch of red over here.
So if you were painting a red mech, what color canopy would you use?
Camo Specs would recommend probably a green canopy because it's the complementary color. I would probably use something else, probably like a blue or a black. More likely a black.
Okay.
Alright, we make a little spaces here. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with the Atlas eyes. They're just too small to work with. Work on the next shade. A little too much white in there. And work on the next layer here. Work on the next layer. We do want it pretty white this time. So it's actually kind of a nice light pink. Kind of want at least 3 shades. And the spaces are smaller and smaller as we go. Gotta clean my brush so I can maybe sharpen the point a little bit and notice it's getting a little off target. And now we're gonna do just a little white. It's actually too much on the brush somehow. Right in the corner. Right in the corner. Right in the corner. Right in the corner. That is a little bit much, but you know, that's good enough. Now I did go over the lines a little bit. So we're going to go back to our original base color here, blue. Got to tilt it to a little bit here. And reinforce the boundaries of the canopy. That looks pretty good, don't it?
It does.
I can see a little bit of an error here, though. There we go. Gonna get a little bit of black. We're gonna start working on the gun barrels. Try my brush here a bit. Gonna knock them down again. There's one more laser in the back here.
Is it a butt laser?
Yes, it is. It is a rear-mounted laser. And I've added a couple more details. We have just let it dry. I've also done a little more work on the Steiner Scout mech here. So, I have also done up the base because I noticed we were getting a little high on time. We are going to grab a green, if I can find it. That's not green. That's definitely not green. Wow, nope. This is the shade of green I'm looking for. Yeah, I have lots of colors. Shake it good.
Shake it.
This is dried up enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in here. Because we're getting ready to turf.
Turf it.
Getting a little crazy with the green here. That's probably going to be enough for a few mechs. I was going to set that aside.
You want to explain why you have that?
Flock you. Yeah, that's another name for this stuff, is flocking. I'm going to take my brush, pat it down in there. And the green also provides some much needed color. And since I didn't quite glue the miniature straight, I'm also going to add a directional arrow on the miniature so that for gameplay purposes we know which direction it is actually facing. There's a couple of miniatures where their bases are just wonky and you gotta put it a certain way, and it's just like right in between two hex sides, and that's kind of annoying. Excuse me.
Nice.
There we go. Doesn't break immersion too much. And that mech is about done. I hope you learned something today. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.